Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that my audio is working. How you been?
Pretty good, just busy, like I said. But yeah, so you finished a midterm. How was it?
Yeah, no, I feel like I did good on it. Um,
Mm.
I wish I could have studied more, but I mean, it wasn't that hard. It was we had like some multiple choice and then kind of just like some graphs. The graphs weren't too bad. I was able to put those on like my little like cheat sheet that they gave us. But
Oh, okay. Mm.
yeah, I mean, it felt good, overall. Econ 121. That was like my second midterm. But I mean, he usually curves it, but I mean, it felt pretty good. So yeah, happy about that. Got that out of the way now.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, how was your weekend though?
Yeah, it was good. Like I was mostly just like staying up working on this one painting that I'm gonna submit for the Bobcat art show that's gonna
Mm,
happen. So I'm just like finishing up like corrections and all that jazz. So yeah.
okay, for sure. No, yeah, I remember you telling me that you were like, you liked art a lot. Um, what's your like painting, if you don't mind me asking? Is like a portrait or like?
Yeah, I feel like it's like an abstract portrait. So yeah, there's like a lot of like uh elements to it that like
Mm,
don't really yeah, that make it more abstract because like I do have a portrait in it.
mm-hmm.
It's hard to explain, sorry.
No, you're good.
But y yeah, like it's just mostly like one part portrait, the other just like more abstract. But
Is it
yeah.
like a big painting or is it little?
Yeah, it's a pretty big painting. I think it's
Oh,
like
okay.
24 by 30.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, okay, it's pretty big then, yeah. No, that's really cool, yeah.
Mhm.
Um, well, yeah, I mean, that's awesome to hear. Um, I actually wanted to ask you, like what you thought about like the video, because I know you watched it and I know you took notes on it and you kind of kind of showed me like your reflection, but I kind of wanted to hear like from you, like what you thought about it.
Let me get out my little notes that I have for myself because I was writing little notes for myself like while I was watching it.
Hmm.
I just found it really interesting because like I don't know, I feel like sometimes with like my mindset about things is like mostly like oh eat the rich and everything.
Hmm.
Um and the way that he kind of like put it is like you gotta have a mindset like if you want to be something like strive for something like you gotta have like a certain mindset, you know?
Yeah.
Um, it just made me think back to this one talk or one discussion that I had with someone else where they were like, "Oh, if you want to strive to be rich, you can't really be having that like eat the rich mindset, so that like you can actually like meet people, network with the people, and everything." I don't know. It made me think about that mostly. I don't know if that really makes sense, but it's just like
Mm-hmm.
hard to like think that okay, if I want to like be somewhere, I gotta like change a little bit of my mindset on that.
No, yeah, of
Um,
course, yeah. I mean,
mhm.
I'd love for you to share more, but my business partner, he actually joined, and I actually like, like to admit him here into the meeting. So you can also share with them, kind of, like what you learned from it. But this is someone who's helped me, grow, scale up my business, and he's actually the one that reached out to me and offered me this amazing opportunity. But yeah, his name is Tona, and yeah,
Yeah.
let me admit him so you can get to meet him. But you know, I kind of like how you said that, how like it made you think about, like eat the rich, uh, like not the poor. It was that
Mhm.
right or no?
Yeah, it's like keep the rich, like that
Uh,
whole like quote that you
yeah,
have.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, yeah. And so I feel like that's something, maybe like Tona can also, maybe elaborate a little bit more on too. But yeah, kind of just like going off that, like you said you heard that from like a discussion, right? Or where was that from?
Yeah, because we had like I think it was part of like an entrepreneurship like discussion that we were having. I went to like a talk, I think. Yeah, and so they were just talking about having the mindset eat the rich and how it kind of hinders you from making connections that like
Mm,
say like that can like maybe get you to where you want to be. But in that case, what they were talking about was like making money. So like if you want to be rich, I suppose, then you have to like kind of take away eat the rich mentality, you
yeah.
know?
Hmm.
and I feel like that would be hard for me. And that's what it got me thinking during the video. I just started thinking about that, but of course I had other thoughts, but I can go into that a little bit later. But yeah.
No, of course, no, yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I'd actually like to, introduce Tona. I feel like, he can maybe elaborate a little bit more on this, and also to kind of, just give him some introduction. She's just, kind of sharing with me, like her thoughts on like, the video from the Phil material, why
Mm,
entrepreneurship. She watched the video and, she was, impacted by it. She took some notes, but now she's kind of, just sharing a little bit of her reflection. And I, kind of already mentioned to her who you were and like how you helped me throughout my
mm.
business.
Okay. Hey, how's it going, Joanne?
Hello. Yes, Joanne. Nice to meet you, Tona.
It's pronounced Joanne.
Yeah, Joanne. Yeah.
Okay, Joanne. Nice to meet you. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, right? Monday, um,
Yeah.
back at school, right? Are you at Merced over there with Chris?
Yeah, I'm in UC Merced. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, how's your day so far?
Pretty good. Just like pretty busy with like classes, but otherwise, just going through it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I see, you're talking here a little bit with Chris. Yeah, how you and Chris kind of know each other?
Oh, well, Chris reached out to me on LinkedIn and
Huh.
we were just like talking more about like the entrepreneurship department in business society a little bit. And I just wanted to get to know more about like the I suppose like the behind the scenes of like entrepreneurship, see the ins and outs of it and like learn more about it.
Mm.
But mhm.
Okay, so you're someone who's looking for business then, right?
Well, I'm just kind of exploring multiple avenues right now. And I just noticed that Christopher did was or is part of Business Society, and I'm currently in the internship process.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was mostly looking to connect with people who had the same like goals or just like same kind of like how would I put it? I guess like the organizations on campus. I just want to know more about like what's provided.
Okay. Are you aware that, we're not an organization on campus, that we're not actually affiliated with UC Merced?
Yes, I am aware.
Uh-huh.
Well, not totally, but of course, I would love to get more of an explanation on it because I do know this is like a mentorship process. But
Okay.
if you could elaborate,
Um,
that would be great.
so what have you and Chris kind of been talking about so far?
We've been mostly, well, when we first started talking in our Zoom call, it was mostly introductions and getting to know about the process. And as well as like being able to like share information. Like recently, he sent me a link to a workshop for how to manage your 9 to 5, so that that way you can have like a better, like I suppose like work balance and life balance and everything. So it's mostly just been that, I believe. Mhm.
Mm, okay. Can I ask what year are you studying right now?
Yeah, I'm a second year and my major is global arts. I'm minoring in anthropology.
Okay. Um, so what made you want to pick that major?
I suppose I did mention this with Christopher that I was heavily inspired by my family. All of them, or mostly my sister, wanted me to pursue something that I like and enjoy, and something that I'm good at. So I'm just pursuing like art so that I can hopefully do something with that and just enjoy what career I end up in.
Okay. That's great to hear. Yeah, I just wanted to get to know you a little bit better because obviously, it's our first time meeting each other. A little bit about me. I'm also a student, not at UC Merced. I'm currently a student at San Jose State. So I'm not from the Merced area. I come from the Bay Area. Yeah. Can I ask where you're originally from?
Just an hour away. I'm from Fresno, so it's
Oh,
yeah,
okay. I know Fresno. Yeah. So you are pretty nearby then. All right. Yeah, that's good
yeah.
to hear. But yeah, I come from San Jose. So what me and Chris are essentially doing is that we're looking for business partners, right? Because when me and Chris kind of met each other, I knew about his little business club over there, business society. To be honest, I still don't know too much about what they kind of do or anything. Um, but once I got to know him a little bit more and what kind of things that he was looking for, then that's when I took the opportunity to introduce him to my mentor. And then he's the one who's been helping us start and grow and scale our business up to this day. So that's why I was kind of asking if you were someone who was looking for a type of business opportunity. Are you the type of person to build, any type of side hustle before or anything like that?
Yeah, so Christopher did mention when he first reached out to me was like getting to um I suppose expand more on like say like the side business, and I am going to pursue a small business in my career, at least to sell my art. So yeah, I am very interested. That's why I'm joining like business society and everything so that I can know more about what is like going on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, because I mean, a little bit about us is that well, a little bit about me to start off is that I'm someone who is pretty business oriented, I used to try many different ways, opportunities to kind of make money. And I know Chris is very similar. I don't know if you guys to hear his story, but when we're looking for a type of, I mean, let me ask you, what do you look for in a business opportunity?
Could you elaborate a little bit more? Like,
When like pursuing something, you say you pursued art. You're pursuing art right now, right? Well, why art? I mean, like, what about it? Or in a business opportunity, you say you're someone that wants to build a type of something on the side. What does that kind of look like for you?
well, I, like you actually like re say the like question. Sorry, like I'm just trying to like get a better understanding of how to answer.
Hmm. Okay. Um, so you said art, right? Why'd you pick art?
Mhm. Okay,
Why?
so why do I pick art? Okay,
Yeah.
well, I suppose I just enjoy to
Okay.
like being able to express myself because I find it hard to express myself through words, and being able
Hmm.
to use mediums like painting or sculpting really help me channel those feelings.
Okay. So if you didn't get paid to make art, would you still do it?
Of course. I mean, already I'm not
Okay.
being paid to do it, so I
Okay. Right.
still do it. Yeah.
Okay. So then, how are the bills gonna get paid?
I mean, I suppose just like doing anything, that's it. But, like, I do understand that,
Uh-huh.
like, okay, with art, it's like, even if you're not like selling it, how are you going to be able to do something like that?
Right.
Or, yeah. So that's why I
Right.
was kind of hoping to like get a career with like, say, like becoming a museum curator has been something that's been on my mind. But
Mm.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's kind of what more I was kind of wondering about. What's kind of your plan going forward when it comes to like finances and future? Because when it comes to business, what I hear from a lot of people is, that's what they're looking for because everybody knows, especially here in California, you can't really survive off of just one source of income. And well, I live here in San Jose, right? It's very
Yeah.
expensive here. Me and my family of
Mhm.
four, we kind of cram in a little tiny apartment because we understand how expensive it is to live here. So even if I went out and got my 9 to 5, I'm studying in finance right now. Even if I got my 9 to 5 job as a relationship banker, which is what I was looking for, it's not enough for me to even survive here in San Jose. So that's
Mhm.
why I understood that I needed something else. I needed something on top of that. Maybe if I lived somewhere else in America or in a different country, it's not the case. But for me, in my dream life, I want to live here in California. I love California. Weather's nice. It's a great state. I want to stay here, but the truth is, I won't be able to unless I do something about it right now. Because, like I said, I was someone who tried many. Oh, ask me, why I chose business. That
Mhm.
same question I asked you. Okay, I asked myself, why did I choose business? I'm not passionate about business. I'm not passionate about bank. I actually hate numbers. They overwhelm me. They make my head hurt, right? But the
Mhm.
reason I do it is not because I like it, because it's gonna take me to where I want to go. Because for me, A successful life is a combination of what? Money, time, and peace of mind. Those are the three things I'm looking for. So when I'm looking at the long list of majors, I ask myself which one will get me a life with those three things. And none of them would. Not engineering, not in the medical field, not in art, none of them would. Only the lifestyle of a business owner can get me that. But then I found out that here in school, you get taught business not by a business owner. You get taught by a teacher. You get taught by an employee, not by someone with the source of passive income, not by someone with, like let me ask you about your club, right? Business society. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't feel so confident learning about business by a bunch of students who've never really ran a business before. So, I mean, I'm not trying to put down schools or clubs or anything like that, but I'm trying to say that, when I'm serious about learning something, I went out of my way to go out and learn it. Because the few mistakes that I made, in my past was trying it on my own. Like I said, the reason I asked you, what do you look for in a business opportunity? Is because there's many different ways to do it, right? Like starting a small business where you sell art, or for me, it was investing, day trading on the stock market. For some people, I know for Chris, he used to be the guy with the big bag of chips on the playground, selling to all the little kids, overprice them. There's different ways to do it. So that's why I kind of asked you, why business? Does that kind of make more sense?
Yeah, I do thank
Uh-huh.
you so much. That made it super easy
Yeah.
to understand. Yeah. So I
Yeah, what
suppose,
is it?
yeah,
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
being able to like do business is, I suppose, like there's more freedom. I've
Mm,
noticed a little bit more just being
mm-hmm.
able to like do something that like
Yeah,
you want to do, right?
right.
Like, because I do understand that like with business, like when you were saying right now, like, oh, if you can go to engineering or like any other like major, it might be difficult to make money or like,
Yeah.
like, yeah, sustain yourself in a way. But I feel like with business, you can do both sustain yourself and do something that you're passionate about. And that's something
Mm-hmm.
that, of course, I look forward to, like in anything that I go into. I don't just
Mm-hmm.
want to say, how I got to go to work, like,
Yeah,
and like dread it every day. That's the
right.
thing. Like with business, it's like, I feel like I could be a little bit more like, okay, I'm going to go in and do this and like,
Uh-huh.
have that like
Right.
drive.
Yeah. Okay. Right. There you go. Because the flexibility, right? I wanted to ask. A question came up. Have you worked before? Have you had a job before?
In a job, I've worked for my family and I've
Uh-huh.
been through like internships that have like
Okay.
work or service, but I
Uh-huh.
haven't been like employed.
Okay. Yeah. What does your family do?
My dad works in agriculture. He works for the Schlotowitz family farms. So I help
Okay.
with the farmers markets to
Uh-huh.
sell fruit.
Okay. So you saw them work, pretty often then? Are they still working right now?
My dad, yes. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
still working. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, exactly. Because some people, I mean, you don't need to have a job to kind of see what that's like, right? Because, like, for me, I started working at 15. So I got the glimpse real quick. But, you know, you see it every day. Well, when your mom and your dad aren't able to spend time with you because what? They have to go to work, right? So that's like the perfect example of what no freedom. There's no freedom, right? And business is, well, not business, but building is definitely, I wouldn't say it's exactly a way you can do what you doing what you like at the same time, but it can kind of help
Mhm.
bridge that gap, right? Because like the example that I gave you about an engineer, a lot of the time, well, I talk to a lot of people about business, about mentorship, and usually for these engineers, I ask them why do they pick that major. Is because they love being creative, they love building things. But the problem with pursuing a career in engineering is you don't get to choose. There's no freedom. You have to do what you get paid to build. There's no freedom there, right? Like someone pursuing art, right? A lot of the time they have to focus so much on how to sustain that, and they just can't do it passionately. They can't do it, on their own. But my favorite example is about my mentor. Has Chris told you a little bit about our mentor?
Uh, so you share the same mentor?
Yeah,
Um,
we do. Yeah.
okay, so then yes, I do. Yeah, he
Okay,
talked
so you're
about it.
familiar with Phil. What do you know about him so far?
So he was just telling me a little bit more about like his background and just like telling me about like his like experience with
Hmm.
him and getting to know him like the first time they met and everything.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, this is like the short of it. Mhm.
Okay, yeah. But back to the example is because the reason I mentioned my mentor is because um he's some like I said, we share the same mentor. Well, I'll get to that in a bit. But back to the example, he had a passion in teaching.
Mm.
So did Chris send you his video, his material?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so that's an example. My mentor, he's passionate about teaching. He's passionate about educating people. He comes from a background of teachers, but he understood that with a teacher's salary, he can't survive here in America.
Mm,
So what he did was build his business, scale it up to the point where it freed him financially. And now he spends his free time to educate people. And that's pretty insane
yeah.
because
Mhm.
like you said, most people are passionate about something, so they go out and pursue it. See what that will look like 10 to 20 years ahead. So similarly for me, I'm not passionate. Like I said, I'm not passionate about business. I'm not passionate about what's it called, numbers or anything like that. But I am passionate about freedom. I am passionate about being able to spend my time with my family, my current family, my future family. I'm passionate about spending my time doing the things that I want to do. So that's why you see someone like me, someone who are pretty young, right? Like, we're still college students, but we're serious about going out and learning from people about how to grow a business. And then once we earn our mentor's trust is when he's the one who helped us start and grow, even to this day. So the reason I mentioned we had the same mentor, right? Let me ask you, do you have a mentor?
Currently, no, I do not have a
Okay.
mentor.
So who do you go to when it comes to talking about your future and your finances?
Uh, I usually just go to the UC Merced like student
Uh-huh.
career center and talk with
Okay.
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm. What if you didn't go to UC Merced?
That is a good question because I
Uh-huh.
know that like luckily with UC Merced there's a lot of resources I can
Right.
utilize. But I mean otherwise I before I used to talk with like friends or like close friends or like
Mhm.
see like how they're doing it and everything. Also my older sister,
Yeah.
I am able to like talk with her.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Um, but what I can kind of tell is you don't really have like a definitive person to go to.
Right.
And I was the same way. Most people are the same way because there are certain things that you should look for into somebody to listen to them, right?
Mhm.
I consider myself a leader, someone who takes initiative. I don't just take advice from everybody. So what I look for in a mentor is, do they have what I'm looking for? Do they have what I want? And when I found out my mentor retired himself at 22 years old and he was able to live financially free, build a business by choice with his fiance, that's the life that I want. So that's when I knew that he's someone I had to listen to. I had to learn from. But the question was, why would he want to teach me? Why would he want to teach Chris? Why would he want to help you? Right? Because in reality, what mentorship out there is, well, I can tell you from my experience. I did 2 years of dating actively when I was in high school, and like I said, I did it all by myself because the only help I got was watching a YouTube video, and then at the end, some stock nerd tells you to buy his $1,000 course. But that's the truth. No one's gonna help you unless you pay them. But let me ask you, how much has Chris charged you so far?
Well, nothing. He hasn't charged me
Okay,
anything.
nothing. Right? That's surprising because he's kind of that guy. You know what I mean? He always try and take a dollar or two out of somebody. But no, you know why? Because he shouldn't be. He shouldn't. charge you. It makes no sense. I shouldn't charge you. If Chris ever asks you for money, be alarmed. Consider that a red flag. If I ever ask you for money, be alarmed. That's a red flag. Because when it comes to our business model, there is real reason for that mentee mentorship relationship. But the problem is we don't just partner with anybody, which is kind of why you notice so far, I just kind of want to get to know somebody a little bit better because I don't confident discussing about specific details about my business, about my mentor with somebody who I'm not really too sure will be a business partner with me. Does that kind of make sense?
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So, did you have any questions regarding our business from here or from the last time that you talked with Chris?
I mean, I would just like be interested to know more about like, well, are you both in the same business? Because I want to know like what is it that you do right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right. So, me and Chris, yeah, we build the same business. That's why I was kind of asking at first. I was like, I'm not part of that club over there. You see me say, like, I'm not
right, yeah.
affiliated with it, right? No, but what we're doing is we share the same e-commerce and franchising platform. Did you talk about that with Chris at all?
If you could elaborate on that, that would
Okay.
be great.
Yeah. So, well, this goes back to kind of those things that I said matter when it comes to choosing a type of business to partner with because like let's say your example, right? You say you want to start your own store where you sell art, right? Or maybe it's not good, but let's say like a barber shop. Okay, I know Chris he used to cut hair, right? That's not the type of business I would want to run. Because if he needed to start a barber shop, he would need what? A location. He would need all the utilities, all the materials, and things like that. And it's over time you're paying more for the physical location. It's just really not that efficient because when it comes to e-commerce and franchising, it's very easy to just run a business with your phone, with your laptop. Okay, but to break it down even more, what commerce is essentially a store, right? That's what commerce is, like Target, your Walmart, your Costco's. When you go to those stores, you look around, you see all the products don't really belong to Target, right? Like they're their own brands. You got your hot Cheetos, your laundry detergents, your deodorant, whatever brands they have. But Target is just a place where you get them all. So what Target is or commerce is a middleman, just that middle location, that middle platform. So when you put an E in front of it, it's basically what? An online store. And this is really smart because, like I said, you can shortcut a lot of these extra expenses when it comes to starting a traditional age or industrial age business. Because what e-commerce companies do is they leverage two things. The first one is technology, like I already talked about. You can run your business with your phone. But the second thing is more important. It's networks. Because if you slow down and look around at all these e-commerce companies that are kind of taking over this world, you can see how they leverage networks. For example, let me ask you, when was the last time you've seen a taxi out on the street?
I mean, in all honesty, I use the taxi, so
You
actually,
use
like, I
it?
use it. I do,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Really? That's kind of funny,
yeah,
right? I didn't know Merced had taxis like that because,
yeah. We still do.
like, here in
Mhm.
San Jose, I haven't seen one in years. I haven't seen a
Oh,
taxi in years.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
right? Kind of rare now. You want to know why?
Why?
Because Uber ran them out of business. Because Lyft ran them out of business. Let's start with Uber. Uber is the largest taxi company in the world now. But the crazy thing is they don't own a single car.
Right.
They don't own a single vehicle. Airbnb is the largest rental property company in the world. They don't own any real estate. What they do is leverage networks. And that they leverage their position as the middleman to connect and bridge the gap. For example, Uber's two networks are someone with a car who needs some money and someone who needs a ride and is willing to pay for one. That's where Uber bridges that gap, connects them together, right? So same thing with Airbnb, same thing with Netflix too, right? Well, now they make their own movies, but they didn't start off that way. But you can see this is how e-commerce businesses kind of work, is that you're a middleman bridging the gap between two networks out there. So tying that back to our business, yes, we're running an e-commerce platform where we have access to different products and services for people to leverage, for people to bridge the gap to. So if I said you had access to all that, services, platform, does that sound like you can make some passive income?
Uh, wait, sorry, could you say that one more time?
So when you have a business like that, does that sound like you can make passive income?
Oh, yeah.
Right, you can probably, yeah, right. You have some good
Hmm.
customers. Chris is someone with a lot of customers, so yeah, you can definitely make passive income. What about generational income? What about retire yourself at 22 years old income?
I mean, I would suppose so, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but it's a
yeah,
lot harder. It's a
yeah.
lot harder, right? Especially with just that traditional e-commerce business model, which is why we combine e-commerce with franchising.
Mm.
And that's how my mentor was able to retire himself so young. So you're familiar with franchising, right? Are you?
Yes,
A little bit?
I am.
Okay. Like, I just love the example because it kind of really ties it back to, well, I really love helping people understand why, they should evaluate different business models. What are those specific things they should look out for? And scalability, duplicability is one of the most important things because tying it back to the traditional business example, industrial age is this, let's say Chris's barbershop, right?
Mhm.
Let's say Chris could cut the best hair out of anybody in California, but that means everybody in California wants to get their hair cut by Chris. And maybe Chris loves cutting hair, but I know what Chris loves even more is spending time with his family. I know Chris loves even more spending time with his girlfriend. But if he's cutting hair 24/7, he won't be able to do that. So the reason he wasn't able to scale up his business because you can't really show someone how to cut hair that well, right? If it's something so good, if it's something you're the best at, it's kind of hard to duplicate it, right? So when it comes to building a business in the B quadrant, are you familiar with the cash flow quadrants?
No, if you could
Okay.
elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah, okay. Let me go ahead and share my screen right now. Give me 1 second. Try and pull up some windows. Share my screen. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Have you ever seen these cash flow quadrants before?
Yes, I have.
Yes. Okay. Where have you seen them before?
I believe it is on a video I've seen
Oh,
before. Yeah.
okay. There you go. Okay, aside from the video. So, how do you kind of understand them right now?
Well, I would suppose like where you see like there's the employee, so like you
Hmm.
have a job, you work for someone, but then there's
Hmm.
also like the business owner who's like being
Right.
able to not work for someone, but to be like your own like
Hmm.
um it was like having people work for you. Yeah. So I
Hmm.
think we're seeing this before with Business Society. They
Oh,
showed,
okay.
yeah, a
We,
presentation where they were showing it. Yeah.
well, yeah, they teach it in business class or one class I took. They taught this. So it's one of the few things they do teach in what school. But this is, a concept made by a famous business owner called Robert Kiyosaki, where it talks about, all the different ways you can make money in this world relies on these four different quadrants. So let me ask you, right now, which quadrant are you in?
I mean, I suppose I would say that I'm the employee since I'm
Mhm.
not a business owner or anything.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Mhm.
yeah, because even like what you graduate, you get a degree. What do you plan on doing? Getting a job, right?
Yeah,
So
of course.
most of us are on this E route, right? But let me
Mhm.
ask you, where do you want to be? Which quadrant do you want to be in?
I would suppose it would be the business owner or maybe like
Mm,
self-employed around there.
mm.
But
Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay, right. Because obviously no one wants to be an employee, right? That just means what
Right.
your time, your money is dependent on your time because
Mhm.
what you only have 24 hours in a day. And what can you work all those 24 hours? No, right? You only 8, 12 hours you can really work. And that means your money is limited to those 8 to 12 hours.
Mhm.
And sure, that's fine for right now. Like for me, for example, I got bills to pay. I need to feed myself, right? So I
Right.
need money coming in. So I need that kind of like that guarantee that, if I spend 6 to 8 hours at my job, that I'm going to be paid for it. So that's why I'm still in E right now, but I don't plan on being there forever. Some people do get comfortable here, and that's all dependent on their values, right? But
Right.
I value my time more than I value my money. So I'm looking for freedom, right? Because one day when I probably get laid off or there's another pandemic and everyone loses their jobs, and what else do I got then? I don't want to wait till that happens for me to start looking for something, which is why I agree that building an asset in the other three quadrants is a smarter way to go. You said S or B, right? Which is small business and big business. S is essentially the industrial age example I gave about Chris earlier. That you could be so good at something like for me, for example, I could probably make a pretty good burger, right? I can make a really good cheeseburger, my mom's famous recipe, but at the end of the day, I cannot compete with McDonald's
Mhm.
because I can't really show someone how to do it how I do it. I'm not leaking my mom's favorite recipe, right? But it's a bit harder, which is why we want to build business in the B quadrant because on the left side is where people make active income, which means trading your time for money. Because if Chris had a barber shop, I can guarantee you he's going to be the first one in the morning. He's going to be the last one out at night. Like, oh, maybe a better example, Chris' family, they have a taco truck. And I know Chris's dad, right? Spends a lot of time there. He gets home really late. But again, I value my freedom. So when it comes to building a system, this is what I meant by these e-commerce platforms, right? Or not even just e-commerce, but any type of business, right? Like Steve Jobs, he's been dead for a long time, right? But
Mhm.
every single year, they still come out with a new iPhone. That's a pretty sustainable business, right? And the vision that I see with that is, I want to make money while I sleep. Maybe not while I'm dead, right? Obviously when I'm dead, right? But I don't want to be dead, right? I want to make
Okay.
money while I sleep, while I spend time with my family, while I travel. I still want my business to be operating because when it comes to the S quadrant, you're the expert, you're the best. But in the B quadrant, if you're the best, you're the expert. Just like the S quadrant, you're going to be spending all your time there. Like looking at Steve Jobs' example again, he didn't know everything about his business. He didn't know everything about the manufacturing, the coding, the software development, all that, stuff. But the people that did worked for him. And that's how he was able to use not just his 24 hours, but everybody's 24 hours to grow and scale a business. Because the name of the game here is leverage. And this is exactly the type of business model that me and Chris are kind of working with when it comes to e-commerce and franchising, right? Does that kind of make sense? Any questions on there?
No, no questions. Yeah, you're
Okay,
explaining it good. Yeah.
I hope I am. Right? If it's confusing, make sure to stop me and explain again. Right? Um, but we're not going to talk too much about investor because you kind of need money to make money, right? Like I said, I did day trading, but that's not real investing. My mentor always told me I'm a gambler because that's pretty much what that is, right?
Yeah.
Um, so let me ask you again, which quadrant would you want to end up in?
Uh, I mean, I know that you did bring up like the correct points or like the right points with like business owner and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like in a way, even though I do want to strive to be a business owner,
Mm-hmm.
a part of me thinks that I would fall under the self-employed, the S route.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, although like I do want to be a business owner, but yeah. Mhm.
Right. Okay. So self-employed because of what your art business, right? that you want.
Yeah.
And okay, can I ask what's kind of like the game plan looking for that? I mean, I know you mentioned that a lot. It's something you're really passionate about. Well, what does like the roadmap for that kind of look like right now?
Um, I mean, currently it's just like kind of being able to have like my own studio to work with, like to be
Hmm.
able to have like a kiln that I can work with since I do
Uh-huh.
want to sculpt.
Mm.
So that's my main thing that I would want to sell, mostly things that you can use, like cups or like other things, so on and so forth. But yeah, I feel like if I had the resources, that would be
Hmm.
great to do stuff like that. But of course, I do know that like you mentioned, like if you have your self-employed, like it's gonna be you, like you're gonna have to like be the one like first
Hmm.
there and then first or the last to leave. So yeah, I do understand that, but like it's a part of like process that I think I would
Hmm.
enjoy in a way. But
Yeah, because it's
yeah,
art, right? And you love art, so
yeah,
you wouldn't mind like, oh yeah, 20 hours a day to art, yeah, right?
exactly.
Honestly,
Yeah. Mhm.
right, and that all depends, like I said, on someone's values, because each person lands in a different quadrant. But the reason they stay there is because of their values. Like Chris's dad, for example, right? Like I know it's a lot of time, effort, stress, money in that taco truck,
Mhm.
but he's still doing it because that's what he values, right? And the same for you. So when I asked about your roadmap, you kind of mentioned you're kind of lacking the the materials, right? The capital. So how long is it until you're able to get those things?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the part that I'm like really like I'm not
Mm,
totally sure about because it's like one like I have to think about like how am I gonna get there? How am I gonna be able to even like afford a studio? How am I gonna be able to afford the like supplies that I need and
yeah.
everything? Which kind of like ties back to like the video, like what I was going to like talk about a little bit more because what I really liked was when he was talking about like, are you really planning your life correctly, right?
Hmm.
Like, are you considering like the long run, like if you're gonna be like single or like if like say with quarantine, no one was able to predict like COVID having that mass impact on us and then all that
Right.
happened. So I feel like I would want to try to consider possibilities like that in my roadmap, but like at least for now, I'm just trying to think like, okay, I need time to collect all the supplies or all the resources I need. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, it's just kind of difficult to like figure those things out because it's like it's unpredictable how things go. But yeah, like I suppose that's the bare bones of like how I want to like go about my business. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because like just like how he talked about in the video, right? I know there's something my mentor Phil always says is that if you don't know exactly what you're doing, where you're going, what you're gonna do to get there, then you're not really serious about it. Because if I were to ask you, for example, do you know every single material that you need, how much it costs, how much until you have enough money to get a studio? Do you know the answers to those questions?
I'm gonna be honest, not really. I don't know
Right?
exact, yeah,
Uh-huh.
specifically.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
But the example he gave to me hit even harder because I told him my goal is to buy my mom a house here in California. And then he asked me, do you know how much it costs? How many bedrooms? How much for the down payment? How many years until you're gonna be able to afford it? I didn't know.
Mhm.
And that's when he pointed out to me that I wasn't serious about my goal. I feel serious, right? Because of the emotions, because of, obviously it's something you dream of, but the actions don't match.
Mm.
And that's when he pointed to me that, okay, I can have all these different goals, but without a game plan, it's not really possible. It's not really something that, because, it's always, I had a similar mindset. It's always like, I'll figure it out as I go.
Mhm.
I'll figure it out when I get there, right? But when I get there is when I'm gonna start working full time. Is when I'm gonna have a family. I'm gonna have kids. I'm gonna have responsibility. And at that point, what time do I have to even spend on what I'm actually pursuing? Nothing. Because I come off of work tired, and then I go take the kid to soccer practice, well, whatever it is, right? But this is why, I kind of mentioned earlier that, me and Chris are so young because we were always told that the best time to get started is now because there won't be more time. Like for school, for example, right? It's only getting harder. The upper divisions are coming, right? So what time are you gonna have then? And then okay, maybe after you graduate, but you're gonna need a job, right? You need to start working. You need to start putting in hours. And then after that, what time do you have?
Mhm.
So the reason I say this because I really think you should, think a little bit deeper, more specific about what exactly it is you're looking for and how exactly you intend to get it. Because a lot of the time, that's not what people do. They kind of go from A, B, C, D to E to F to G, but they don't start from Z and work backwards from there to figure out how I get it. And the reason I talk like that, I'm not saying like I'm a crazy visionary. I'm someone that's so logical. No, I started my business at 18 years old with no business experience, no life experience. But the reason I can talk about these type of things and have the right mindset is because it's what my mentor taught me. It's what my coach taught me about how to be serious about what I actually mean. So that's something, I would advise for you. But if you're someone who's looking for a way, because a lot of the time everybody has their plan, and it seems like they're the best plan in the world until they actually think about it and they actually start planning it out, and that's when they realize that this can be kind of difficult. There's a few roadblocks that get in the way. That's why I've been talking so much about freedom, about life, about how I want to live my life. Like I said, I want a combination of money, time, and peace of mind. But working backwards from that Z point, there's not many options that'll get me those three, which is why I ultimately decided with business, right? And there's reasons for that. Um, but like before, we talk about like any specific business or understanding, why you need it, and talking more about our business model. I think you should be a little bit more clear on where you're going, how you plan on getting there, and what's stopping you from getting there. And then we can talk a little bit more about how business can, you know, align with that, how business can help you out, how building an asset under the right mentorship is something that can help you get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes.
So you should take some time to do that. And we would love to hear, how that kind of goes for you. Because, a lot of time, like I said, I talk to a lot of people who are very passionate about what they do. I never thought about it too far. A good example is one of my business partners. He's actually over there at UC Merced too. He studies in public health, and his plan is to be a physician's assistant and eventually get enough money to start up his own firm. And when I talked to him for the first time, he thought about it before. He knew the plan. I asked him how much is it to get your own firm. He knew how much it was, but he also knew how impossible, how hard it is to get there. Okay, you know how much it is for your own firm? Yes. How long is it going to take you to get there? A long time.
Mhm.
So that's why he understood that building something, an asset on the side, can align with that goal, right? I never tell anyone to stop pursuing, to give up their goal or anything like don't think I'm trying to convince you that hey, quit art or something or drop out of school or whatever. No, but I just like pointing out to people how building an asset on the side can help you get there. Like my mentor's example, again, like I said earlier, loves teaching, but he didn't want to be a teacher. He wanted to be financially free so he can use his free time and free will to teach. Um, so yeah, after today, I think you should, think about it a little bit more. And if you're curious about, uh, how we can kind of help you out with that game plan, we would love to, connect again, talk again, meet up again, so we can talk a little bit more about our business and how it can help you. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does. Yeah, you make
Okay.
things very clear. Yeah. Mhm.
Really? Okay. So do you have any questions then?
I wouldn't say I have any questions. I'm just mostly like kind of trying to wrap my brain around like the just
Mm-hmm.
everything that you were mentioning just now because I feel like I don't know. I feel like I can be very like want to try to be optimistic about certain things, but
Mm.
it's like a bit difficult to like start thinking like, okay, if I want
Yeah.
to do this, um, it's gonna be like okay because like how I described, like, oh, I want to own my small business eventually.
Mm.
I sound optimistic about it, but obviously I'm still thinking about, okay, it's going to cost money. It's going to be a lot
Yeah.
of money. And like, especially with like the times right now with like our politics and everything, like it
Mm-hmm.
makes things a lot harder to
Oh
do
yeah.
things. Yeah. So it's just a lot to consider. And I feel like of course I would love to like think more about this plan because obviously like when you did mention like oh being able to know like how much it would cost to do
Mm-hmm.
things, being able to like know the numbers and the exact like
Yeah.
like resources that you need, it is important. um but it's just like there's just so much to consider. I'm just finding it really interesting. That's why I really like that you brought it up. That's
Uh-huh.
why. But yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, I love that you shared that. Because you know, like I said, most people never really thought about those things before, and I don't blame you because it's hard not to be optimistic. Like no one wants to be the negative guy to be if Chris goes on about me about how much he loves his plan, what he wants to pursue, I'm the guy to be like, hey, what if you get laid off? Or what if that
Mhm.
doesn't work out? Like, oh, my favorite example is someone I talked to is like they want to do like music, or they want to do like they want to be a rapper, and I always and I hate to be the guy to always ask them, have you ever thought about if that didn't work out?
Mhm.
But the reason someone hates to be that guy is because they understand people are emotional. The reason people are so optimistic is because they don't want to think of the worst possible scenario. So it requires, having someone pretty logical, having someone like a mentor, for example. This is one of the attributes. We didn't talk too much about it today, but one of the key attributes I look for in a mentor is someone logical, someone that doesn't tell me what I need, what I want to hear, someone that tells me what I need to hear. Because if they tell me what I want to hear, then what difference does it make to all my friends out there?
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, I love that. So I love to hear back from a little bit more. And if you have any questions or anything else, we'd love to again and talk a little bit more. And if you're interested or serious about learning more about our business model, our business plan, and how exactly it aligns for our goals. Right? Like I'm not exactly an art major or anything like that, but I do
Mhm.
see how this business model and business opportunity aligns with my goals. So if you're interested to hear more about that, we can definitely talk about it a little bit more next time. And yeah, anyone else?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for taking the time today to like be
Mm,
able to talk. I really enjoyed it. I wanted to ask by any chance do you have LinkedIn so that we can still stay connected if possible?
yeah,
Or
yeah, I'm on LinkedIn as well. You can search up my name at Solid Servant. But what would be even better is if we can make a group chat together because I'm gonna be honest, I don't really check my LinkedIn that often. If you were to message me on there, the odds are I probably wouldn't see it that well. So there's a few other things I check a little bit more frequently, like my iPhone messages, my Facebook Messenger, those things I check pretty often. So maybe we can make a group chat, the three of us together, so we can all stay in touch. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds
yeah,
great.
okay.
Okay, cool. What do you think works best for you guys? Messages or Facebook Messenger? Because those are my top two.
Hmm. No, yeah. So
Um,
I think maybe messages might work. We can just make a group chat there. I can maybe add Tona,
Okay,
uh, and kind of create a group chat on Messenger. On sorry, not Messenger, on iPhone messages.
okay. So
mhm.
Chris, you have my phone number. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you have Joanne's, but you can get that and then make a group chat between the three
Hmm.
of us, right?
No, yeah. Yeah, I can
Uh-huh.
set that up for us.
But cool, yeah. But other than that, it was nice meeting you, nice talking with you, Joanne. I do got to get going right now. But it was like I said, I talked to a lot of people about business and mentorship, and I love every opportunity because it's just getting to learn from someone's reference point, from someone's plan, right? Like I said, I talked a lot today about people's plans, and I hear a lot of different plans. So, like I said, this was no different. It was great talking to you, great meeting you, and I hope we can connect again soon. All right.
That would be great. No, yeah. Thank you so much again for taking the
All right.
time. But
Have a good one, guys. I'll see you later. Hopefully on group chat,
All right
right? All
then.
right.
All
Bye,
right, see you guys.
guys.
Bye bye.
bye.
All right then, Joanne. I'm gonna conclude the meeting here then. Yeah, I appreciate you coming in here. Also staying in for what was it, like an hour? But yeah, what'd you think about it?
Yeah, I like I said, like I was finding it really interesting that like, being able to like ask questions about like what is it that you want to do, like how are you gonna get there? And I feel like that also tied back to like the video, because like I
Mm,
believe your mentor was like mentioning like, oh, you gotta choose your vehicle because sure you want to be, for example, a teacher, but how are you gonna get there? Like
exactly.
what yeah, so like what are you going to expect and everything? So I feel like yeah, like most of the points that he did bring up, I was able to like, already be like, okay, like this was mentioned in the video, but it kind of helped me understand a little bit
Mm,
more in my situation at least, being
correct.
able to put it into perspective, sorry, but
No, yeah, no, yeah. That's like actually really cool because I remember when I first met up with Tone as well. I had a goal. I was like, oh, I want to be a business owner. I want to own my own like a what was it, like law firm or like investment firm. And he's like, all right,
mhm,
what's your plan? And just like you, he questioned me. Like, all right, how do you do it? How much money do you need? I'm like, I to be honest, I haven't thought that far, but I just know I want to do that. So he kind of like Tona kind of asked me, not like pressed me, but he like pressured me, kind of like, oh, so, like, what's your plan? How do you see yourself getting there? Like what are like the steps, from like Z backwards, and like how you want to get there specifically.
mhm,
But just like you, I was very optimistic, kind of just saying, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but like still I haven't really thought about, all right, what like is gonna go into this, step by step process. But
mhm.
yeah, what'd you think about Tona?
Oh, yeah, thank you again for introducing me because yeah, like he mentioned a lot of points that like was able to like make it a little bit more clear because I feel like with like being able to explain things like if people are using like simpler terms or like simpler more like
Mm-hmm.
topics, I find it a lot easier to understand. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just liked how he explained things. But
No, definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
no.
Yeah, no, yeah. That's really cool to hear. Well, yeah, no, I mean, I just wanted to connect you with him, just so you can, get to know him a little bit more as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to hold you for any longer. I can set up that group chat though. I can just make like a group chat with you, me and Tone on it, maybe through on iPhone messages, and maybe we can even send you some more material as well, maybe like another video or something like that, so you can kind of watch it. But yeah, I mean, that kind of concludes our meeting. Do you have any other questions, comments, concerns?
One really quick question. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. Like, have you guys like known each other for like a while?
Oh no,
Or
yeah.
like
So I've known Tona for like about a year already, and he knows my family as well. He's like actually came to my house. He's gotten to know my family. Actually helped me with my grand opening, and that's where he kind of met my whole like my mom, my dad, my siblings, and it was like an amazing opportunity for him to kind of for him and some of my other business partners to actually get to know my family because yeah they knew me but they didn't know my family. My mom and my like my family was kind of curious like, oh, who are these people you're spending so much time with, like I want to get to know them, and so they actually got to know them there, and yeah, like to answer your question, I do know Tona personally, so like don't think I don't know him at all. But no, I know Tona. We've known each other for like I say like about a year now. Um, but yeah, I feel like our friendship has developed, like a long way. Like I've known people for even like almost my whole life, but me personally, I feel like I can trust Tona more than some of them because yeah, I knew them for a long time, but now they're kind of just someone I know. But Tona, I spent a lot of time with, so I know at least he's someone I can rely and depend on. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, like I was like noticing a little bit, like, okay, but yeah, it's good. No, that's nice. Yeah.
no, yeah, of
Mhm.
course,
That
no, yeah.
was all my questions.
No, you're good. Yeah. So I mean, we can pretty much just wrap it up here. But yeah, we could just stay in touch, through messages, and I'll talk to you soon. Then, all right?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, thank you again for taking the time. But yeah,
Yeah. No worries. Yeah. You have a good rest of your day. Then, all right? Bye bye.
you too. Bye bye.